So I'll give you an overview of my yard, kind of in its raw form. Most of the plants here that are replanted came with the place. I'm renting this home from my in-laws, and it used to belong to my husband's grandma. And she loved plants, and so there were already some established plants here. And I'll kind of show you around what we have so far. This, I believe, is an iris plant, and it has purple blooms to it, which is really nice. And it has kind of grown over the years too, which is really cool. We have a rose plant here. I forget the color. I believe they're like a pinky white to it. I believe most of our roses have like a pinky white color, and I don't know the exact name, and I'm still learning how to prune. So yeah, it's kind of growing nicely. Would like to add some plants here. We have some clover that just kind of happened naturally. I don't know what these are, and I don't know if they're weeds or not. There used to be a box right here that looked similar to this, but it was just breaking apart and we had to toss it. It wasn't safe to have anymore. And there was a rose in there, but it died. Here we have some geraniums, and I believe the blooms are like pink. I know, I forget. We'll see. Weed. So we have 3 of those here. Oops, plain. And then another fuller rose plant that already has some blooms to come, which is so exciting. And this is like a peachier pink. And here we have another one. I know one of them was white, but I can't remember which one it was. So this one's a wee bit smaller. And then here, so I added this yesterday. I just had an extra Thai constellation that was tissue culture grown, and it was just very leggy, and I was kind of over it. I do have a bigger Thai con inside, and I didn't want to throw it away. I wanted to test it out and see if it would survive outdoors in Zone 9B. So this is kind of like a test plant. And then I also had a Monstera cutting. It was a Monstera alba, but it had no variegation on this one, so it's like, we'll see. I just kind of combined it here, and this is like a test pot. Right here, ooh, weed. We have a peony. If you can't tell where it is, it's right here. This little stub, and it is a peony festiva mixa or something like that. So we'll see how trash. We'll see how if it survives. I don't know. Keep you updated. Those are the plants that I have lined up along our fence here, and I really wanted to add some sort of like vining plant along this fence, and this fence is like diagonal, because when you look at our yard, this is kind of like what we see when we look at our backyard, like this wall right here, and so I wanted to add some color to it. Moving on here, we do have like this like step area, brick area here. There's like a star, so it's an interesting layout for a backyard. So I felt like it needed some joy, some blooms, so I kind of started doing that over here. These are the plants that I've collected so far. This is a type of begonia, and I really loved how like these petals are very white, but with like a hint of green right in the center. And so put it in some aged terracotta pants. Excited for this to grow. I want to figure out how to propagate this too. I want it to multiply. I was going for like white flowers because I wanted to kind of transform our backyard space into like a cottage garden inspired space. So we'll see how that works out. I think this looks really good together, and I got this from Green Acres. Honestly, when I first picked it up, I thought it was a type of geranium, and then it wasn't until I got home that I realized it was a begonia. So it's kind of funny. This is my hellebore. It is a Frost Kiss Charmer Lenten Rose. And if you follow me on Instagram, this is like one of the first plants that I featured. I think it's getting a little too much sun. It's been really sunny the past couple of days. And I also just moved it into this pot, so I think it's, I don't know if it's still getting used to it. And I think I need to kind of cut some of its flowers. And then I did add pebble too as a topper because it likes to keep its, I think if I understand it correctly, it likes to keep its like roots cooler, and it does prefer more shade. So this is getting a lot of morning sun here, but I don't know, I'm still kind of, we're close to daylight savings. It's like next Sunday, so trying to figure out best timing, best position for everything, or best placement for everything. So I have this here for now, kind of hiding behind the camellias. Anyways, so I added pebble topper because I was going for like that look. I'll kind of see if I could show a picture here, but a more like a whimsical feel to it, and I felt like the pebbles, pea gravel, kind of added to that story. So I went with that. Go up. This is my Hoya Crimson Princess, I believe. Like, I think the queen has the variegation in the outside, the princess has in the inside, unless I have that wrong. This used to be an indoor plant, but I wanted to test it out and see how it would do outside. So I have it out here and to see how it will fare with our zone 9B weather. I'm hoping that it will survive. I really like how there's like a pinky hue to it when it gets like sun stressed. So I thought that was really pretty. I believe there's some new growth right behind there. We'll see if that survives. I will keep you updated. And then I also have a potted version of that right here in this terracotta. So I think the sun might be too much for it. I don't know. It could also be shocked from living in an indoor space to an outdoor. So I'll let it get accustomed to it. And I have in a soil, orchid bark, earthworm casting, perlite mix. And then I have this geranium. I don't exactly know what kind it is, and I need to figure out what the name of this geranium is, but I figured since those geraniums that I have back there are doing great in this space, I figured this one might. I don't know. So we're kind of figuring it out together. Then we have my pink Breath of Heaven, and I learned from one of the gardeners at Home Depot that if you kind of like rub for like 5 seconds and then you smell your fingers, it just smells heavenly. I feel like it kind of smells like rosemary almost. So that's kind of where it gets its name, Breath of Heaven. And I highly recommend picking one up these if you have it at your local nursery or hardware store. The blooms are just so cute. Look at them. I'm hoping this kind of grows into like a shrub for me, again with the pebble for that whimsical look that I'm trying to go for. Next up, we have marigold, and I put it in this DIY plastic trash bin that I drilled holes on under, and we were getting a lot of mosquitoes, so I needed something that kind of would repel mosquitoes, and so we started with marigolds, and I do want to add more to my backyard. Next up is this blue hibiscus electra blue plant. It attracts pollinators, it's drought tolerant, and I find that the florals are just so pretty. This one's going, but this one is blooming, so that's exciting. And I believe I saw one of my neighbors had this in their front yard, and it was like probably a 6x5 massive bush, 6 feet tall. And I'm hoping that mine will kind of do the same. And eventually, once it gets a little bit bigger, I do want to move it kind of along the fence over here. I feel like that would be, oh, hi, pretty. A nice little pop of color there. Now, I don't know too much about it, so I still have to do a lot of research. And then I did add like sand topper, but I don't know if this is the correct, like, if I like the look of it. I wanted something a little bit more tan. Back here we have my one of two camellias, and this one, I also don't know the exact name for it, and I don't believe I put the tag in, but the florals, if I could just get closer, it is so beautiful. And one of my favorite flowers are peonies, because I love how their petals just look so full. And then I saw, look at that, oh, gorgeous. It's gonna be very beautiful. I wanted to add more white florals to give, that's my space again, a more cottagey feel, and I feel like white florals just look very whimsical. So I potted in this planter that I picked up at Home Depot, and I thought that looked really cute together. Here we have a couple of my inside plants that I brought outdoors. This is a Hoya. I believe it's a type of Finlaysonii, and I saw that there was some pest damage to it. I don't know if it's flat mites, honestly. I don't know. Hoyas I'm still learning a lot about, and pest control, and like there's new growth to it, so I feel like it's happy. I didn't see the damage transferred over to like this leaf. I don't know, still learning a lot. If you have any tips, let me know. But it's growing, so it must be happy, right? I don't know. And then we have a type of pubic calc splash right here. Same, I don't know what kind of pest damage that is. Still learning. Back here we have a Florida mint ghost that I've just had for many years, and I don't know, it's just taking up space inside, so I brought it out here, and we'll see how it survives, if it will like the cold. But new leaf, so that's exciting. This is one of my failed ferns that I picked up from Monterey. It is, I believe, a cotton candy fern I picked up from Greg's nursery. It was one of those plants that I picked up so I could remember my time in Monterey. We were there last year for for my husband's rotation for grad school. So I just wanted a plant to remember the time we had there by. But is it dying? Because these are new. Still learning about how to care for ferns. And this is an orchid that I knew is on the way out, but I didn't want to toss it, so I just kind of hid it right there. So I have my plants kind of gathered right here, so they have each other. A broken mirror, that's on my brow shower that I never cleaned up, and then this is just like a ledge area. I believe my mom-in-law, I think she told me that the previous owner, before my grandma, they used to grow tomatoes, I think. So that's why we had these tomato cages. I don't recall, but since then, since living here, we haven't had anything grow back here at all. So I wanted to figure out what I wanted to add here and make the best use out of that space. I'm not much of a veggie grower. I kind of like florals and plants with distinctive leaves, so we'll see what I add. This is a cast iron plant, a variegated cast iron plant, and it likes low shade or like low, like shaded areas with not a lot of bright light. But for almost 2-3 weeks I had it on our table over there, so it's getting a lot of sun. And now I hid it back here because we don't get a lot of sun in this little corner here because of this fence over here and then the trees. So I feel like it might like this spot better, but the leaves have definitely burned. And also sitting in water for quite some time during the rain as well. So that's my variegated cast iron plant. Still figuring out where I'm gonna put that. And in here, I did toss some seeds in these hanging baskets. I used to have annuals 3 years ago, and that died a long time ago. And they've just been hanging as empty, well, not empty, they had soil, empty baskets. And so this year, I pulled out the weeds on some, tossed in some seeds, wildflower seeds, covered it with peat moss, and we shall see how that works, or how that grows, if it will even like it, or if it will even flourish. So we'll see. And then just this empty yard space, and then here we have my Clematis armandii snowdrift. So I've been looking at clematis, or I've been looking for a plant that will trail or vine quickly, and I've learned that clematis are fast vining plants. So 2 years ago I bought 2 bulbs or roots, or whatever came in the little bag, and then forgot about them. I actually did toss them over there because they were just sitting in water for too long when I left them out during the rain, and I think I killed that. So, but this one I found in Home Depot, all fully grown, all vining, for about $30, and I was like, sweet, I don't have to wait for it to grow that much. So I planted it here. I kind of just dug a hole. I didn't do much of a soil amendment. When I was digging, I did see a lot of earthworms, and I learned that was a sign of good soil. I don't know. And I know we have like clay over here, so I just kind of covered it with some organic material. Just tossed whatever soil I had, and then I kind of added some Super Thrive fertilizer, and it's been about a week or two since I did that, or a week and a half since I did that, and it's still here. And the leaves have grown and there's new growth, so I think it's doing okay. We shall see how it progresses over the years. I am trying to do like a espalier look along the fence here with it, so I added some screw eyes right at the top, and then some fishing line so you don't see it. And I learned that it likes like the thinner things to kind of cling onto and climb on, so we'll see how well it will thrive in this space. And this is a north facing fence, so it doesn't get quite a lot of light, but I'm hoping in the summer that I would. And I learned that it likes to keep its like roots pretty chilled anyways, so eventually I will need to add some sort of like plant right here to kind of cover this area. But for now, this ledge is doing what it needs to do to help that plant survive. So that's that, and then more hanging pots. My furniture that kind of just stacked up right here, and my umbrella that keeps falling from the wind, so now it's just staying down. It also needs to get repaired, so we'll figure that out. During the summer we don't get a lot of shade in this spot, so this area, well, this whole yard actually gets pretty hot. So I would like to add some trees as well. Moving down here, this fence used to be standing, and it used to kind of cover this brick area and kind of separate this little dog patch from this brick area. And over the years, just rain, weather, kind of just fell over, and then I think my dogs just like to walk all over it, so now we have kind of like Bermuda growing over it, but we do need to pick that up and properly toss it. Some things that I don't know, I could use as a plant stand, but quite a lot of damage to it. And I think I kind of want to transform this space into like a secret garden area, because our dogs, this is the only patch of like grass, not quite grass, but like soft area for my dogs to make on. So I'd like to kind of keep this space for them to do that, but I do want to kind of beautify this area right here. So I was thinking raised garden beds, I don't know, and adding some florals. We'll see how this place transforms, but I do want to make it into a secret garden space. We have more irises here, and then another rose, and these were already planted here by my husband's grandma. And I don't know, I guess we'll just keep it there. This is an orange tree that has traveled with my grandma, or my husband's grandma. She's moved a couple of times, and she used to have this growing in a pot, but since moving here, she planted it down next to her loquat tree that is much taller now. So we have a loquat tree here and an orange tree here, and that's kind of what occupies this space. And I don't quite know how to care for an orange tree or a loquat tree, and I'm grateful that it is doing well and that it is fruiting, but I do want to learn how to care for these guys well so that they can continue to flourish. But it does provide like a nice little shaded area here, small but sweet. And then we have our outdoor shed, and then we have our front yard there. And so that's kind of our backyard space. And if you go down here, this is our south facing wall that I would kind of like to, let me take a step back. I would eventually like to grow a bougainvillea right along here and just kind of go this way. Obviously, I would need to maintain it really well to make sure it doesn't grow anywhere else where it shouldn't grow. But I would like to add a trellis here, and then maybe attach some string lights here to kind of add some light to this little space where we will have our secret garden. So I think that would look really beautiful, having some string lights here. But for now, I put this old wooden shelf to kind of hold any extra pots that I do have, and I have my little greenhouse right here where I planted some wildflowers and some other seeds that I picked up from Home Depot. And I do have one as well inside of the house, but I figured adding one here would be like a cool kind of experiment to see how it will do, especially since this is south facing, so it gets a lot of sunlight. Making sure that's close, right? Sunlight throughout the day. And then we come over here, and this is just a little space for me to do some repotting. And then more furniture. So we have a lot of work to do, but if you can see, we have 2 access points to our backyard, and this is basically like our only big windows that we have, and when you look out to the space, this is like all you see is fence. So I want to add some color, some beauty to what we look out when we look out into the world. So that's my garden so far, at least my backyard garden, and then I'll show you the front yard soon.